Ever wanted to absolutely blow people's minds instantly and with minimal effort? Well, I'm about to show you exactly how to. And along the way, you're going to learn how to win a bet so easily, you'll never need to pay for a drink again. Interested? Well, strap in, my wizarding apprentice, because today we're looking at phantom flamethrowing, physics-defying fingies, perplexing levitation, and much more, as we uncover the secrets behind some deceptively simple magic tricks that will impress anyone. Now you see it. Let's start things off with some teleportation as I take a regular coin and make it disappear. Now, whenever I earn a bit of money, it always seems to vanish into thin air, but my terrible finances aren't nearly as magical as this first trick. To the audience, this illusion looks impossible, as a genuine, tangible coin vanishes right before their eyes. However, the secret behind the trick is incredibly simple, and it relies more on arts and crafts than spells and sorcery. To prepare the illusion, start by placing a glass upside down on a piece of paper before tracing a circle around the rim. Then cut the circle out and glue it to the rim of the glass. Now simply place your magic glass upside down on a new piece of paper next to a regular coin. When you lift the cup and quickly cover the coin, the customized rim will hide it while blending in seamlessly with the paper underneath it. When performed correctly, this trick is incredibly convincing, and it'll have your audience reaching for their glasses as they try and figure out how you made the coin vanish in plain sight. Change your cards. You can't make a video about magic tricks without also picking up a deck of cards. If you've ever gambled or played a game of Uno, you'll know that sooner or later you're going to get dealt a crappy hand. However, the next time the dealer does you dirty, you can use this next magic trick to instantly change your cards. This might look like an ordinary glass, but it's actually magic, allowing me to transform any card right before your eyes and shift this King of Diamonds into a Queen of Clubs. The illusion looks impossible, but instead of showing one card magically transforming, it actually requires you to take two cards out of the deck. Start the trick by taking any two cards and holding them together at the top, creating a flap at the bottom where they separate. To perform the illusion, cover these cards with your hand before lowering them into an empty glass. As the cards enter the glass, push the bottom of the front card between your fingers and lift it up, creating a flap that reveals the queen underneath. Once the audience can see both cards on the opposite sides of your hand, quickly lift the cards back up and squeeze them together, restoring the king to its original state and showing it to the audience as a single complete card. Of course, this one really depends on you getting the angle right, but with the correct technique, you can reveal the queen behind every king. Paperclip trick. Next up, let's look at a trick that involves a pair of paper clips, which I shall magically join together before your very eyes, all with the help of a dollar bill. This trick makes linking paper clips a piece of cake. But what's the secret? Magnetic paper clips? Pre-joined clips hidden up your sleeve? Genuine magic? Wrong, and wrong again. In reality, the secret behind the illusion is all in the way that you fold the piece of paper. To perform the trick, start by folding a small piece of paper in a Z shape. When closed, this should create 3 separate layers of paper folded on top of each other. Next, place your 2 paper clips on opposite sides of the fold while linking them both to the middle section of paper like so. At this point, when you pull the paper flat, the unique fold of the paper will pull the paper clips through one another, and as they spring off, they'll link together as if by magic. This trick is bound to intrigue everyone in your office, and depending on your colleagues, will make you either the most fun or most annoying person to ask for a paperclip. Instant ice. Next up, let's try a trick that'll let you channel your inner Elsa, allowing you to create ice instantly. Now, before you get excited about the prospect of having unlimited ice for the summer, you should know that this won't actually allow you to create ice out of thin air. That is, real ice, though not fake plastic cubes. So how do we do it? You'll need to start with some ice cubes that you made earlier, as well as a handful of paper towels. To prepare the trick, start by filling a cup with a wad of paper towel. Follow by dropping a handful of ice cubes on top. Then, when you pour some water into the cup, the paper should immediately soak it all up. And turning the cup upside down, only the cubes will fall out, while the wet paper towel remains stuck in place, hidden from sight. The illusion is pretty visually striking, and when TikTokers like Ash Illusion have posted their versions of the trick online, viewers have been blown away by the way it can turn the magician into an instant ice machine. What a bottle! Let's look at an illusion that completely defies the laws of gravity by allowing you to turn an open bottle of water upside down without spilling a drop. Usually, tipping a water bottle over is a surefire way to ruin your pants, but this trick demonstrated by YouTuber Imco Powerball allows you to flip a bottle around without making a mess due to a neat bit of science and a small amount of saran wrap. To start preparing this illusion, take a water bottle and remove the plastic cap and ring. Then cover the bottle top with an airtight circle of saran wrap before replacing the plastic ring and trimming down the saran wrap to conceal it. As you can see, my attempt isn't perfect, but the fewer wrinkles in the saran wrap, the more convincing this looks. You can then use a toothpick to poke a small hole in the film. With this magic bottle in hand, start by placing a finger over the hole in the film before flipping the bottle upside down and slowly removing your finger. Although the bottle is technically unsealed, the water won't come rushing out of the hole due to the liquid's surface tension. The hole is too small to allow water to flow out of the bottle freely. However, the container is technically unsealed, allowing you to grab a toothpick and push it through the hole in the film. As the wooden toothpick floats to the top of the bottle, it'll astound your audience, convincing them that the bottle is genuinely uncovered. As you can see, a small amount of water might fall out of the bottle as you push the toothpick in, but with practice, it's possible to perform this trick with minimal spillage, wowing your audience and keeping your pants bone dry. An underwater flame. Staying on the theme of impossible water tricks now, here's a trick that frequently appears on social media as internet magicians upload videos of a lit candle burning freely inside a full glass of water. At a glance, this trick looks impossible, but of course it isn't. Check it out. This slightly underwhelming reveal shows how forced perspective and camera trickery can be used to create illusions that would probably never work in front of a live audience. However, there is a way to legitimately burn a candle underwater, at least for a moment. Now, whether this trick can be classified as magic is debatable, but it does make for a pretty neat science experiment. As the cup makes contact with the water, the air inside it gets trapped in the cup. Now, with nowhere to go, it creates a pressurized pocket of air that prevents the liquid from entering. This air pocket allows both the cup and the candle to travel to the bottom of the bowl without getting wet, and the flame will continue to burn until it uses up all the oxygen in the cup, which goes to show science is often way cooler than magic. Floating feet. I'd say it's about time we elevate our performance, quite literally. So I'm going to show a simple magic trick that'll allow you to levitate. This trick is surprisingly convincing, and believe it or not, this illusion really is caused by a pair of magic shoes. Now, before you fly off the handle, you should know that instead of rocket boosters or miniature wings, all these sneakers need to fly is a few pieces of duct tape. To reproduce this trick, stick a pair of shoes together with duct tape before putting one of them on, then grab a blanket and cover up your legs and barefoot so only the customized shoe and your upper body are visible. Once you're covered up, you can lift your double shoe leg out to the side while leaning your upper body in the opposite direction, making it appear as if both your feet are floating off of the ground. Then it's just a simple matter of activating your real flight superpowers and soaring off into the heavens above. Easy, right? Scientific sorcery. Let's check out another illusion now that owes its magical properties to some clever physics. With this illusion, giving directions has never been so difficult, as a magical glass of water takes an arrow pointing to the right and instantly changes its direction. Now, water doesn't actually have any magical properties, and the secret behind this trick is rooted in science, not sorcery. When light rays enter a curved glass of water, passing from the air to the denser liquid, they're bent out of shape in a vaguely similar way to a camera lens. As a result, when we look at something through a cylindrical glass of water, the light waves hitting our eyes have effectively been flipped horizontally, completely changing how we see the image on the other side. Through a wine glass, meanwhile, the more spherical shape results in the image being flipped both horizontally and vertically. This process is called refraction, and it can be used to earn yourself a free drink if you make a bet that you can make the arrow point the other direction without changing the orientation of the piece of paper. Those muggles will never suspect a thing. Twisting finger. Let's move from a flipping arrow to another illusion with a twist. Literally. Ouch. This bone-crunching trick might look painful, but you don't have to break your finger to pull it off. And all you really need to perform the illusion is a magic marker. To prepare the trick, start by taking the cap off your marker and coloring in the rim. Then push the inky rim of the marker into the tip of your index finger, leaving a small black circle on your skin. Next, grab your finger with your opposite hand and violently twist your wrist. Now, when you reveal the front of your palm to the audience, the black circle of your index finger should look like a fingernail, giving the impression that your digit has been completely rotated. Unsurprisingly, this trick is all about speed. If you show the finger for too long, the audience will easily see through the ruse, but if you flash your phony fingernail for just a second, they'll be completely fooled, left to use their fingernails to scratch their heads. Flame on! As a magician, there's one thing that's sure to bring a bit of extra sparkle and heat to your act: fire. Smoking is a very dirty habit, but it turns out a cigarette lighter can be used to pull off some pretty clean magic tricks, like shooting a burst of fire out of your finger. At a glance, it really looks like I'm wielding my finger like a flamethrower. But in reality, this trick involves two lighters, the one openly shown to the audience and another hidden in the other hand. To perform the trick, simply hold the hidden lighter with your thumb behind your index and middle fingers while simultaneously pushing down on the gas button with your index finger, causing it to expel butane. Then use another lighter to ignite the butane, making it look like you're passing the flame to the tip of your finger. At this point, you can simply extinguish the flame by releasing the gas or pass it back to the visible lighter, concluding the trick. This illusion is bound to impress your audience, but unlike the other illusions in this video, I don't recommend you try it at home. Playing with fire can be pretty dangerous, and believe me, there's nothing magical about a trip to the magician's ER. It's actually just the regular ER, only the nurses laugh at your costume. An extraordinary trick. Performing all of these tricks is pretty hard work, and if we're going to keep going, I could sure use a snack. How about a magical egg in these trying times? Now, first glance, this egg probably doesn't look like anything special. However, I'll bet that if you grab an egg of your own, you can't make it stand upright like mine. The reason you can't replicate this egg's incredible posture, and neither will anyone you place a bet against to replicate this trick, is because I've given it special magical properties, using nothing but table salt and a straw. To make your own special egg, start by placing a pile of salt on your table and stick the egg in the pile until it stands upright. Then use a straw to carefully blow away all the salt without knocking the egg over. Once you're done blowing the salt, you're ready to blow your friend's mind, as the tiny amount of salt hidden under the egg causes it to remain standing upright, seemingly by magic. Another magical bet to line your pockets. Delicious. Teleporting pen. That last trick is great, but you're probably not going to be carrying an egg with you to your local bar. Luckily, this next illusion can also be performed with some items that are easy to come by in most places, requiring nothing more than a pen and a bottle of water. Penn and Teller might be the most famous magical duo in the world, but they have nothing on this piece of pen magic that shows you how to teleport a ballpoint pen into a sealed bottle of water. At a glance, this trick looks like genuine sorcery, but in reality, the pen revealed at the end of the trick has been sitting inside the water bottle the entire time. Let me explain. To prepare the illusion, start by taking a regular ballpoint pen and opening it up before filling the plastic casing with something that'll weigh it down, like a small ball bearings or sand. Once the pen is weighted and resealed, you can drop it into the cylindrical bottle of water, allowing it to sink down to the bottom. Now, when the bottle is held horizontally at a certain angle, thanks to the light-bending refraction of the water, the pen will seem to vanish. With this magical bottle in hand, you're ready to perform the trick to an audience. Start by showing the seemingly empty bottle to the audience while holding it at an angle to keep the pen hidden. Then take an identical pen in your other hand, lift up the tampered bottle, and slam your hands together. At this point, shake the bottle to show the weighted ballpoint floating in the water while discreetly placing the second pen back in your pocket, or in my case, clumsily dropping it in your lap. Hey, I never said I was a professional. Finger splitting. Let's move from teleporting pens to some physical magic as I show you how to make a part of your finger completely vanish. When it comes to magic, there's nothing more iconic than taking your glamorous assistant and sawing her in half. Unfortunately, I'm fresh out of assistants, so we'll have to settle for splitting our index fingers instead. The trick looks pretty freaky, but no fingers were harmed in the making of this clip. In fact, the illusion is actually created with the use of a classic magician's prop, as it requires you to take a fake rubber fingertip and glue it to the back of your ring finger like this. With an extra digit strapped to your hand using kids glue, definitely not super glue, you're ready to perform the trick to an audience. Start by concealing your index finger by bending it behind the middle finger of your hand. At this point, briefly open up your hand, revealing the fake fingertip and creating the unsettling visual. This illusion should completely trick your audience if you perform it quickly. Most fake fingertips aren't that convincing, so you only want your audience to catch a brief glimpse of the deceiving digit before they realize that they're looking at plastic. But if you can, literally, pull it off, you'll be sure to give your doctor a heart attack at your next checkup. Bottle it up. Fake fingertips are a classic magician's prop, but let's move on to something a bit more modern as I show you how to take your smartphone and teleport it inside a sealed water bottle. We're all guilty of looking at our phones too much, and at first glance, this trick seems like a great way to cut down on your screen time by trapping your phone inside a sealed water bottle. But unfortunately, the phone isn't really stuck, and if you watch the footage back and focus pocus, you can see that there was already a slit in the plastic turned away from the camera. All you have to do to prepare the convincing trick is cut a small slit in the bottle with a pair of scissors. Then ensure you keep the hole concealed from the audience before slamming the phone through it in one swift motion. After successfully performing the trick, you'll need to get the phone back out again by busting out your acting chops and pushing a pair of scissors inside the pre-existing slit before pretending to cut it open. The secret behind the trick is incredibly simple, but performing it requires a quick performance without much setup talk, as well as pinpoint accuracy and some sleight of hand, as one small mistake completely ruins the illusion. Just look at this earlier attempt. Yeah, that ain't fooling anybody. Tricky fingers. Let's move on to an illusion that doesn't use any props, simply requiring some hand flexibility and one long index finger. Talk about a big stretch. This freaky trick is great for picking boogers and even better for tricking your friends by making it look like you've stretched your index finger to twice its original size. The illusion may make me look like E.T., but instead of phoning home, let's see how it's done. To recreate this illusion, all you have to do is cross the fingers on your left hand and wedge your right hand's index finger into the cross. At this point, both of your index fingers will combine to look like one giant finger stretching away from your palm. The trick is pretty convincing, but it's nothing more than an illusion, and all my fingers are really a completely normal length. All 14 of them. This is another handy illusion that anyone can do, allowing you to trick your friends by making it look like you have 9 fingers on one hand. Again, the only magic prop this trick requires is a bit of flexibility, and all you have to do to recreate it is cross your hands with your palms facing upwards before bending 4 fingers from each hand over the palm on top. At this point, simply adjust the positioning of your fingers and wrists until the illusion is created, wowing your audience and leaving them in the palm of your mutant hand. Pinky bend. After watching those handy magic tricks, having 5 fingers of a regular length feels pretty lame. However, they aren't the only incredible tricks you can perform with your fingers. You can blow people's minds with a regular set of hands. And in 2021, a TikTok magician called Eduardo Pignataro showed us how to wow a crowd with some mind-bending or finger-bending magic.
Hand, okay? Take my pinky. Oh, I don't like this. I do not like that. All right, but looking right here. Please close your eyes now. Think of one thing and one thing only. Your hand's made of rubber, all right? Imagine it. Open your eyes now. Relax your hand. Relax. It's okay. Your hand's made of rubber. Watch. I'm going to take the pinky just like this. We're going to bend it all the way. Yo. We're going to bring it right back. And it's totally fine.
This trick is a favorite amongst street magicians as they call over unsuspecting pedestrians and show them the shockingly extreme rubber-like bend they can pull off without actually breaking their pinky. The trick might look freaky, but you don't have to be a contortionist to pull it off, and in reality it's natural for your pinky to bend that way. As a result, anyone with a pinky finger can perform this trick, and all you need to perfect the illusion are some theatrics as you convince your audience that you're doing something magical by pushing your pinky to the side. You can pull the skin tight around your finger to make the digit look warped and twisted, or even throw in a grimace for good measure. Either way, some Oscar-worthy acting is all that's necessary to wow your audience with this illusion, and the more painful the trick looks, the more impressed your audience will be. Sickos. Sensational stationery. Let's move from pinkies back to pens as we look at a trick that allows you to use your mind to levitate a regular ballpoint pen. That pen might be a piece of stationery, but it definitely isn't staying still, as I use pure telepathy to levitate it into the air. Of course, my mind isn't the only thing that's making the pen float, and the real driving force behind the illusion is a spool of thin wire in my pocket that's draped over my hand and tied to each end of the pen. It's easier to see in this alternative take I recorded. To lift the pen into the air, all I have to do is raise my hand, pulling the wire taut and dragging the ballpoint into the air. The trick is convincing on camera using black thread and a black shirt, but unfortunately it doesn't work so well in person or in a different outfit. As you can see, unless you record the illusion at the right angle with the right lighting, the string is pretty clear to see, allowing a live audience to see through the ruse and paint you as a fraud. And depending on the crowd, they may decide to burn you at the stake for being either a witch or a charlatan. With that, it's time to take off our top hats and end our performance. Now all that's left to do is go try these tricks on your friends and let me know how it goes down in the comments below. Thanks for watching.